So then the membrane contains a lot of proteins, and that's actually cellular gates with a vital functions. So membrane proteins are attached to or associated with the bilayer of membrane of a cell or an organelle. And here's an example over here. There are like transporters, for example, like water or ions, and they function as an anchoring function. And some membrane proteins are receptor molecule, which gets the transduced the signal from the ligand and into the inside cytosol. And there could be some enzyme. So why is this so important? In fact, more than half of modern medical drugs are actually targeting these membrane proteins. So this is of extreme importance. And the function of membrane proteins, as an example, is transporting molecules. So that plasma membrane is in fact a well-regulated, selectively permeable gate. So glucose, even if it's small, it cannot pass through the cell directly. It needs to have a glucose transmitter. And ions such as sodium and potassium are very important ions, which also has passed through this channel, ion channels. And that ion channel sometimes need to work based on the energy from using ATP. And another is adhesion molecules, such as putting together the epithelial cell to cells or cell to the extracellular matrix. There's integrins, there's selectins and cadherins. I'm not going to talk deep in here, but later on. And also a very important aspect is cell signaling through this receptor. So receptor binds to ligand, which is a binding molecule from the outside of the cell. And that ligand is giving a message. When it binds to receptor, something happens, such as conformational changes in receptor, and that gives signal trigger inside. So receptor ligand binding triggers signal for the cell to know what's going on from the outside environment. So that contains, you see multiple arrow, means various enzymes are involved for signal transduction from this second messenger. That will cause cellular response directly, or maybe gets into the nucleus where gene expression will change. So this, I brought a cell signaling diagram, which look very, very complicated. However, this is even not completely complete one. But to give you some just rough ideas, so this is cell membrane, there are receptors. So this RTK is called a receptor tyrosine kinase. Kinase is an enzyme which will phosphorylate another molecule. So let's say there's survival factor, insulin growth factor 1, that ligand attached to this, they will cause cell signaling to activate PI3 kinase, will activate AKT, blah, blah, blah. And this will eventually change the gene expression changes, such as growth factor, survival, or even extracellular matrix can mechanically signaling through the integrins. They will eventually make the cell proliferation or changes in cell signaling or changes in response, or sometimes even make the cell to die from this death signal. So the point of this cell signal network is assuming that this is a cancer cell, then we want to know how cancer cells are keep proliferating, how to block those. The important part is, even if, let's say, we develop small molecule which targets, let's say, PI3 kinase or this MEP kinase, you can block it. There's always another aspect of signaling which allows the cell to avoid those single treatment. So that has been very difficult to develop a drug which is specific enough, but then the cells can avoid those. And so that there comes, if we know this more completely and can model this, there comes a systems biology approach that we may come up with an optimal or synergistic treatment, which is, let's say, combined together to giving a better killing of a cancer cell. So next time we'll discuss more about cell cycle and proliferation and differentiation.